Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So here I am back with another discussion video, the first one of 2021. But before we get into this video, remember to subscribe if you've not, it really helps me out. And like this video. Let's get this video to at least 20 likes. And share this video out. So without further ado, let's get into this. So here we are in 2021, when, well, I think it goes without saying, 2020 was terrible. Like, just terrible. And everyone was kind of hoping 2021 we can finally be a time where we can be happy and not have to worry about things. And, well, so far it's been 11 days at this point so far, and, well, it hasn't really been too well for most people. Except for Elon Musk, he's now the richest person on Earth. Congrats to him. But yeah, so if you remember back, I believe it was October last year, so about a couple months ago, I made another discussion video about something called the end times. And basically, just what that was, is basically the end times is basically a biblical event at the very end of the Bible, and also other religions have similar things. It basically says that it basically means that the end, or at the end of time, the end of the world as we knew it, and that we are basically at the end of everything that we knew, which, well, we kind of are, because things probably aren't going to be the same thing, aren't probably going to be the same after all this is over. So now that we've gone into 2021, I think it's truly official. And I'm not the only one that says this, that we really are starting to, like, this is truly the end times. This year, it is happening. So, I'm going to kind of tell you what kind of to expect as we start to move forward into 2021. So, basically everyone kind of has this picture when they think of the end times, or the very end, or like, you know what I'm talking about. They think of something called the rapture. Now, the rapture, basically the idea is, at the very end of time, or at the end of the world, those that are faithful to God, they will be whisked away to safety, and that those that aren't, they'll remain here on earth, and they'll suffer and die through tribulations. And, well, that's not real, or that was actually an invention, a concept made by later versions of the Bible in medieval Europe, that's not like part of the original style. In the original, everyone goes through everyone kind of goes through the quote-unquote tribulations. So whether you're faithful, unfaithful, believer, not believer, whatever, somewhere in between, well, we're all going through this. So, yeah, you're not going to be waking up one day and seeing, like, it's not going to be like Avengers Infinity War where you see people all over the place just disappearing, So basically, what is kind of like going to be happening? Well, from what I know, now, then again, I'm not a priest or, the Pope or anything. I'm just a guy. But from what I know, there will be 5 months of tribulations, and the tribulations, and I'm sorry if you hear barking, that's Riley, she's outside. I guess want everyone to know she's here. But, yeah, so it's basically 5 months of these tribulations. 5 months of basically insanity. There's civil unrest, war, crazy weather. It's like 2020 all over again. And just in 5 months, and probably worse. So it's like consider a Roland Emmerich film combined with Saving Private Ryan. Like The Day After Tomorrow and 2012 meets Saving Private Ryan all together. All that fun, bad action movie, disaster movie stuff all together within 5 months. And within that 5-month period, the quote-unquote Antichrist or Satan, devil, whatever name you want to call him, he will come down, he'll make it seem like he can solve all your problems, he can make life better for you. He'll basically kind of be acting like how Adolf Hitler was at the very end, after World War I for Germany, and well, once he came to power, I think we all know what happened there and how bad it ended up for the rest of us, and him in the end. So, yeah, basically someone will appear, make it seem like they can solve all your problems, when in actuality they won't. They'll just make things worse. And then eventually, at the very end of the 5-month period, the real God, big man, that we all know and love, will come down, help guide us, whoever that truly knows, whoever that is willing to go and be trust with him, defeat all the evil, get rid of them.
Avengers! Assemble.
And, well, some versions say that all those that are with God, they will go up to heaven or quote-unquote paradise. But others say that that we'll all stay here and, I guess, well, rebuild the earth or society. I'm kind of hoping the latter of the two because, I'm 18, like, there's so much to life I haven't experienced, at least, here. Like, not to like say anything bad about heaven. I mean, that's, heaven. Who could not like it? But, like, there's plenty of good stuff down here. Like, I'd love to just live the remainder of my life down here if I could, if I have the option. Anyway, but yeah, so at the end, God will come down, all will challenge the evil and get rid of it, and save the world. The end. Goodbye. Okay, no. So that is what many religious people that are very religious are kind of saying will take place in 2021. Now, there's another side to this. There is the religious side, which we just talked about. And if you want to know more about that, I have a friend who she knows way more about this than I could ever know. I'll leave her link down in the description. I mean, it's where I get all the information about this. So check her out. She's really awesome, and well, you know who you are when you watch this. So now let's kind of get into what many economic analysts and quote-unquote conspiracy theorists are saying is going to happen as we move forward into 2021. So let's get into this. So basically, last year as the world was kind of going, as we were all going through the coronavirus pandemic, in June, basically the World Economic Forum, and if you don't know who they are, they're basically a group of some of the richest people on earth. They all come together in their own little club, I guess you could say, because I guess it is a club. And they basically talk about and discuss like, what they should do with the economy to help us, help them. It's like some of the richest people on earth, and they talk about stuff, decide what to do to help us. So in June of last year, while the coronavirus was spreading all around the world, they came up with a concept, and in partnership with the United Nations, they came up with a concept called the Great Reset. Now, what is this Great Reset? So, the Great Reset is basically a concept that they want to bring out as the pandemic starts to go away. Hopefully, what they're expecting is this year, and it's basically a way to quote-unquote reset. It's a literal Great Reset. Now, it's way more than just, like pushing a button or, snapping your fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet.
And I
and saying, okay, it's all reset, we're done. No, it's basically a plan where to address all the issues that that plague society, like poverty, hunger, climate change, and also the pandemic, and also the prevention of future pandemics and just other things to help the humanity. Now, this all sounds great, but from the surface, but as you start to get into it, you really wonder, how is it really helping? Because basically one of the main ideas of it is that basically that governments, they should have more authority to have more power over things like property rights, wealth distribution, food distribution. It's like, how is that really helpful to anyone? So yeah, you can see how it doesn't make much sense, but this whole concept of the Great Reset, it's literally so complicated, you could probably teach an entire college class about it, which no one would probably listen to because it's so boring and mind-numbing. So I'm going to have someone else explain the real meat and potatoes of this. So please welcome America Uncovered. A man from America Uncovered. It's a channel where a man just talks about stuff. This guy, he's professional. He wears a suit and tie, so he's professional, way more professional than me. So take a little. So if you want to know more, check this out, and I'll see you at the end.
Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Before we hit the Great Reset button, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you click the like button, it convinces YouTube to show this video to more people. So, if you've been paying attention to those really rich people at the World Economic Forum talking about how great they are, or if you've been going down the 4chan rabbit hole, you may have heard of this concept, the Great Reset. It works like this. The world economy has been broken because of the coronavirus, and to fix it, we have to turn the economy off and then back on again. Okay, it's not actually like pressing a big reset button, like some stock images would have you believe. It's more like this.
And moving forward, you should expect the government to take a more active role in the economy and in societal issues.
The idea of a Great Reset has been around for years, but it really started to gain traction back in June 2020, when the World Economic Forum officially announced their Great Reset initiative. They write, there is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. Even if you haven't heard of the World Economic Forum, you've probably heard of Davos, which is their annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland. It's where more than 3,000 business leaders, politicians, prominent activists, and others meet to talk about how they're making the world a better place, in their opinion. It's basically Burning Man for the global elite. Davos partners include some of the biggest companies in the world, like Alibaba, Google, Goldman Sachs, Huawei, BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase, McKinsey, Citi, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Facebook. You get the picture. The last Davos summit happened in January this year, just as the coronavirus was spreading around the world. And there's no doubt that the coronavirus has caused a crisis. More than one, actually. Thanks to the Chinese government's initial 6-week cover-up, the coronavirus spread around the world, infecting people in every country. More than 1 million people have died worldwide. The other crisis is the economic devastation. As governments around the world followed the Chinese Communist Party's lockdown model, small businesses were forced to close, and job loss has skyrocketed. So with these twin crises caused by the Chinese and other governments' response to the coronavirus, what can be done? Well, the World Economic Forum has a solution: the Great Reset. This is not the first time the World Economic Forum has come up with a grand-sounding global solution, the kind that, depending on your point of view, sounds either inspirational or terrifying. like when they talked about Globalization 4.0 shaping a new global architecture in the age of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or creating a shared future in a fractured world, or the Great Transformation. With names like these, I'm surprised people weren't scared of the World Economic Forum until now. So back to this year's Great Reset initiative. The World Economic Forum is strangely short on details of how it would actually work. That's probably why it's led to so many conspiracy theories. But while the Great Reset is openly talked about, there's surprisingly little information on specific programs, or how much money ought to be allocated to what. So at this point, it's just vague, big picture stuff. For example, they say governments should implement long overdue reforms that promote more equitable outcomes. Depending on the country, these may include changes to wealth taxes, the withdrawal of fossil fuel subsidies, and new rules governing intellectual property, trade, and competition. Okay, so the solution to the crises caused by government is more government intervention. Intervention that has nothing to do with the coronavirus. It's almost as if governments want to use the coronavirus as an excuse to do the things they had been planning to do anyway. So obviously, the kind of conservative folk who want small government, low taxes, and property rights are not too happy about that agenda. They don't want a small group of elites at the World Economic Forum rewriting the rules of the economy, or giving governments an excuse to become more powerful with more control over the economy. But it's more than that. The World Economic Forum says we must build entirely new foundations for our economic and social systems. They don't explain what that means, which has led some people to compare it to the Communist Manifesto, because it sounds a bit like the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. But while the World Economic Forum's promises of a Great Reset may sound like a communist love fest, the far left is not going to love it either. I'll explain why after the break. The World Economic Forum is proposing a Great Reset, one that promises more equity and inclusion. It may be pandering to the political left, but that doesn't mean the political left is actually going to like it. Keep in mind that the main groups that have been protesting the World Economic Forum for decades have been on the far left, from fiery climate activists, to anti-globalists, to straight-up communists. Folks on the left typically don't like a small group of rich capitalists at the World Economic Forum dictating policy for the rest of us. Rich capitalists like Prince Charles from the British monarchy, Larry Fink from BlackRock Multinational Investment Company, and George Soros from all the conspiracy theories. So really, the Great Reset is something ordinary people on the left and right see as a potential problem. A small group of rich, powerful elite influencing governments to change the rules of the economy. And while the World Economic Forum has been short on details, here's an example of what the world could look like after a Great Reset, from an article published by the World Economic Forum 4 years ago. It imagines life in the year 2030, where everything is digitized and everyone has free, unlimited access to clean energy somehow. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. That sounds like abject poverty, but it's totally not. The article is suggesting that you don't need to own anything because you can just get everything for free as a service. We have access to transportation, accommodation, food, and all the things we need in our daily lives. One by one, all these things became free, so it ended up not making sense for us to own much. If that sounds like a beautiful utopia to you, think about it in a historical context. Remember all the governments that promised free stuff? In China, Mao Zedong promised land to the tillers, but as soon as he rose to power, he ended up killing the landlords and forcing people to work on collective farms. Soon, millions of people starved to death. Well, except for the wealthy elite. In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez promised to eradicate poverty. But within 2 decades, He had turned a nation that was unequal but prosperous into a nation where everyone was equal, equally poor, and can barely afford food. Well, except for the wealthy elite. Governments that promised equality and free stuff have always ended up taking away people's money and property rights, from the Soviet Union to Cuba to Zaire. Wait, but how about the Nordic countries that are touted as great models of socialism? The secret is, they're not socialist. The Nordic countries all made free market reforms in the late 20th century because their economies were crashing under the weight of big government. Now, they all have free markets, private business, and ensure strong property rights. And let's look at Norway, which has the highest GDP per capita. Their secret to economic success? It starts with massive oil extraction, and then they invest oil money in stock markets in other countries. So basically, Norway pays for its big social programs through oil and capitalism, not through green energy and equity. So, back at the World Economic Forum, when they talk about so-called equity, and when they talk about a green recovery, keep in mind, this is being said by a small group of elite billionaires who are flying to their meeting in Davos on thousands of private jets. When they talk about a great reset, do you think they really want equality for everyone? Seriously, who on earth would put their hopes for a greener and more equitable world in the hands of governments and the wealthy elite? Do you think that will benefit everyone? Or do you think it'll benefit the governments and the wealthy elite? Sure, they still haven't given us any details on what the Great Reset actually is. But I know one thing. If it happens, the rest of us are not going to like it. But the real question is, will it actually happen? Are governments and multinational corporations actually pushing for a Great Reset? Or is it just inspirational/terrifying marketing speak for people who go to the World Economic Forum to feel good about themselves? After all, the World Economic Forum has been using similar language to the Great Reset for years. Like here, where they talk about how the underlying systems are broken and a major rethink needs to take place to move in the right direction to realize a global vision for a more sustainable and inclusive growth model for the world and future generations. That's from their Great Transformation theme back in 2012. And it reminds me of the time I forgot to finish an English paper in college and ended up staying up all night to turn my 2-page essay into a 10-page essay, with the help of lots and lots of Red Bull. My point is that the World Economic Forum's rhetoric sounds great, but it says nothing. And that's probably the best case scenario. What do you think of the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered. And remember to like and subscribe to this channel.
Alright, so we're back. So now you kind of know the true meat and potatoes of, well, the Great Reset. And why so many people, quite frankly, they feel pretty threatened by it. And why they think it's really just terrible. And, well, quite frankly, it does seem like that. And it makes sense if this all truly is real. At least in terms of the way the US has been running lately. And with the events of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, since Donald Trump was kind of the president, that kind of just spread a whole bunch of mess. Like, his whole presidency was just mess after mess after mess, from, you know, just his supposed wall to, you know, his very racist / other comments that really kind of just made people hate him, and just other many disasters that took place during his presidency.
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
And Joe Biden, on the other hand, he seems like he can just fix it all. And he is saying and doing everything everyone wants to hear. And, well, if his plan to help the U.S. is the Great Reset, then you can kind of see how so many people are fearing. Well, it's mostly Republicans for some reason, but if you listen to America Uncovered, you know, it really no one's going to enjoy this supposed Great Reset. So, what really would life look like under this Great Reset if it were real? So, I'm going to show you. So, there is a filmmaker. He's really good. He's a British filmmaker named Zachary Denman. He has a channel. He made a video very recently kind of showing what life under this Great Reset concept would be like. So, check it out. It's very short. So, here it is.
The Great Reset had to happen, and the human mind couldn't interfere with their plans. The human mind had to be suppressed. People were thinking for themselves. They didn't need bombs or chemicals. They understood that the most powerful weapon was fear. It ate at the human condition, like caged rats around our heads. Our thoughts just rotted, decayed, until the old world had just become a part of our imaginations. By dismantling the core of society, they divided us, making people fight with one another. It allowed this to become a psychological war amongst the people. The virus collapsed the economy, allowing the New World Credit System to be introduced. National governments formed to become a one-world government, and religion became illegal. No one could pay their mortgages. Property became government-owned. You stayed in line, or you were hunted down like a witch. Police were given 100% power, and the city's empty offices became the workstations for the fascist state. The collection of data and monitoring human behaviour became the stable economy. No one could understand why and how this happened. But that was part of the plan. Keeping people disorientated, kept them asleep, and holding on to the system. The lockdowns had mentally worn people down, broken their minds and true understanding of reality. They needed the virus only to accelerate the changes that they were already making. It was the perfect smokescreen to bring about their new world order, which they had been working on for decades. Human evolution needed to be reversed. They had used and abused us enough to construct the artificial reality they desired. There was no use for us anymore. Unless we merged with their machine and followed their path to destruction, we were useless. The number one objective of the reset was depopulation. Humans were over-exceeding resources. Carbon emissions had to stop to allow certain technologies to be introduced. But it was also a resetting of the mind, individually and collectively. They pulled us through everlasting satanic rituals to give us human trauma, allowing them to steer evolution as they wished. Mental illness had become like the common cold, and by this point, the virus had been forgotten. We were told there was a return to normal, but we were put deeper under their spell. No resistance gave them permission to oppress and do as they liked, but it was only the people's blindness that led them into their trap. But people still could not face the truth, and by not facing the truth, they created a shadow. And when that shadow filled the light, the darkness became so dense, people were blind. We became frozen and led like lambs to the slaughter. We are spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality, but we trapped ourselves in someone else's dream. The dream seems real, but we do have the ability to change it at any time. Dictatorships only exist with followers. You don't have to go with the obedient herd. There is another choice. Are you scared to be an individual? Or are you happy being the submissive slave?
Alright, so yeah, that's what life under the Great Reset would look like or sound like. So, as we start to wrap up this video, tell me, what do you think about this? About this Great Reset. What do you think? And as well, so basically what we know about this Great Reset is like we know, or like America Uncovered said, we don't truly know all the information. We just know the concept. We don't truly know how it will be released, or I guess brought out, if it's real. So here's my thoughts about all this, my personal thoughts about this Great Reset. If it's not real, then, well, joke's on us, because a whole bunch of people are literally preparing for World War III, and I guess they pulled one over us. If it is real, it's terrifying. It's a terrifying concept, and hopefully it never comes about. But in a way, joke's on them, the people that are making this, because there are so many people from all walks of life, you know, economic analysts, conspiracy theorists, survival preppers, even religious leaders, and just people, random people from all walks of life that are just, they're not like preparing for war like some people are, but they're becoming aware, and at the very least having their eyes open and their phones and televisions open, just to see knowledge, just to see that this, if it truly is real, that this is not something we want. And personally, I really think it kind of gives me hope and positivity that this, if it truly is real, could be just undone. Now, once again, I'm only talking about the Great Reset. I'm not talking about the end times. I truly think we are in the end times, and that is fact. The Great Reset, I'm not so sure. But either way, you definitely, and even right now, you people watching this are becoming aware, right, as you watch this and you watch me speak and ramble about this. So, yeah, that is why you really should share this video out, so more people can see this. So, I'm going to end this video off right here. If you all enjoyed this video, remember to like this, share this video out, have more people become aware of this, and subscribe if you want to see more. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
It's over.